What was the real connection between Michael Jackson and Diana Ross? Did their friendship go deeper than anyone knew? Why did Michael admire Diana so much and even name her in his will? Were there hidden stories about their bond that he never shared? Could Diana have influenced Michael's music and life? Let's explore the secrets behind their relationship and what Michael never told the world. Michael Jackson had many people in his life, but Diana Ross was special. She was 14 years older than him and played a big role in his world. Michael called her his mother, lover, and friend. She was the love he could never fully have, and it stayed that way his whole life. Michael met Diana in 1969 when the Jackson 5 signed with Motown. At the time, Berry Gordy, Motown's boss, was amazed by Michael's talent. Gordy thought Michael was like James Brown and Sammy Davis Jr. all in one. There was a story that Diana Ross discovered the Jackson 5, but that wasn't true. Gordy made that up as part of a publicity stunt. Another story said Michael was 9 years old in 1969, but he was actually 11. Those were also Gordy's ideas to make the group more exciting, according to sources. In 1969, Michael lived with Diana Ross for a year. He called her Mama and even girlfriend. His mother, Katherine Jackson, wrote in her book that Michael often called Diana Mama. He loved her so much that he would tease his sisters, LaToya and Janet, saying, "You're not pretty until you look like Diana." Diana Ross was always a big part of Michael's life. He loved her deeply, but she was a love he could never fully hold on to.
When he started his career, I introduced them on their very first television show, which was the Ed Sullivan Show.
Michael wanted more with Diana. He wanted to marry her. There's a story that they were engaged twice, but Diana broke it off both times. People say she thought marrying Michael, who was 14 years younger than her, might harm her career. Now, in 1977, they worked together on The Wiz, a movie filmed in New York. Michael was just 19 years old. During filming, Diana went to Michael's apartment one night and stayed until morning. The next day, an assistant couldn't find them and called the apartment. He was surprised to discover Diana was still there. Later, Diana joked with her friends on set. She said, "One thing's for sure, Michael isn't gay." When the assistant asked Michael what happened that night, Michael said, "You'd have to ask her." When the assistant asked Diana, she replied, "You'd have to ask Michael." Michael even wrote about her in the liner notes of his History album, calling her his mysterious love. Their relationship was full of admiration, but it left fans wondering if there was more to their story.
The boys came to Detroit for a showcase for Berry Gordy, and I remember them wearing these little green outfits and these hats, and they did a show, and we knew then that it was going to be something special.
Because Michael always carried a photo of the two of them together. That photo wasn't just something he kept in his pocket. It was a sign of how much she meant to him. He even had a room in his house devoted to Diana, whom he called a goddess. He filled the room with photos and paintings of Ross, and it also contained thousands of candles burning for her 24/7. An Obeah man gave him the stupid idea when he was a kid that burning the candles with a center picture of your beloved would keep her from leaving you. So he always had thousands of candles burning to central pictures of Diana 24/7. That same scene was replicated in a music video when he had the crowd holding up thousands of candles to his beloved Diana at the end. Diana is the only woman he ever had this type of candle ceremony for.
He always had this admiration for Diana Ross when he was young, and I think it got to a point where he really loved her and he really liked her, still to this day. And she was just this dream for him, and he had this ongoing just a fascination for her.
When Diana got married, Michael had mixed emotions. He was happy for her because he wanted her to feel joy, but deep inside, he was hurt. And here is why. In the mid-1980s, Diana promised to marry Michael, and he thought his biggest dream was coming true. She even wore his ring. You can see it on her finger at the Motown 25 show, and the 1984 American Music Awards, AMA. At the AMA, something special happened. Diana kissed Michael on the mouth in public for the first time. She even held his face in her hands to show off the ring. Diana wanted to see how people would react. She always liked testing the waters. Later, Michael and Diana told his mother, Katherine Jackson, about their engagement. But Katherine wasn't happy. She said Diana was too old for Michael and accused her of ruining his image. Things got worse when Katherine talked to reporters who started calling Diana names like cradle robber. The pressure became too much for Diana. Instead of marrying Michael, she ran away and married Arnoness. Ross's marriage, however, was not happy in spite of 2 sons. When Diana and Arnie got married, they lived on separate continents. Diana mentioned in interviews that she couldn't live in Norway because it was cold and dark and didn't want to move away from her older kids, family, and career in the U.S. Word was that Diana secretly saw Michael even during her pregnancies. He was devastated and brokenhearted, but was still under her spell, however. "I've always loved Diana, and I always will," he wrote in his autobiography, Moonwalk. But as the years went by, Michael's interactions with Diana became more infrequent as she focused on family life, and he extensively promoted and toured around the world. In 1991, Diana told the Rock Hill Herald that, "When he wants to see me, he sees me. When he doesn't, he kind of closes the door. There's no reaching him. There's no finding him. There's no anything. He's just this elusive love out there." Remember the song DD? Do you know is all about Diana Ross?
Because you sit there with me, dirty Diana.
Michael wrote the song Dirty Diana because he was heartbroken and angry. Diana had left him for a famous mountain climber. Michael wasn't ready to let her go. He wanted to fight for her and show her how much he cared. But after crying over the breakup, his sadness turned to anger. Michael had spent years trying to win Diana's heart. He spent millions of dollars buying her gifts and doing everything to make her happy. When she chose other men over him, it hurt him deeply. That's when he wrote Dirty Diana. The song was his way of getting revenge, and it painted Diana in a very bad light. The line, "She likes the boys in the band," was a dig at Diana. She had dated famous musicians like Lionel Richie, Barry Gibb, and Gene Simmons, even when she was supposed to be with Michael. Diana also caused a feud between Michael and Gene. She had an affair with Gene, but called out Michael's name during an intimate moment. Gene blamed Michael for it, and they became enemies for life. So Dirty Diana wasn't just a song, it was Michael's pain and heartbreak put to music.
She looked me deep in the eyes. She touching me so to start. She says there's no turning back.
Michael once said Diana would act like she just wanted fame and money, even more than love. He felt like she didn't truly care for him. When he tried to move on and date other women, Diana would show up and pull him back into her world. It was like she didn't want him, but she didn't want anyone else to have him either. Michael said she would get jealous and find ways to be close to him again. One example is when Michael went on a publicity date with Madonna. Diana didn't like it. She sat on Michael's lap and took all his attention. Another time was when Liz Taylor came on stage to comfort him. But Diana quickly stepped in, grabbed Michael's arm, and even tried to push Liz away. It didn't stop there. At the American Music Awards, Michael brought Brooke Shields as his date. Diana was on the stage but kept blowing kisses to Michael. When he went up to accept his award, Diana clung to him and flirted so much that she forgot what she was supposed to say. He was frustrated. He felt like Diana wouldn't commit to him, but also wouldn't let him move on with his life. Their connection was strong, but it was also messy and full of drama. Michael's words and actions showed how torn he felt about the woman he called his first love.
She said, "I'm all yours tonight." I ran to the phone, saying, "Baby, I'm all right."
He wrote the song and made her sound like a whore. The second verse really went in hard at her and all but called her a whore. When Quincy Jones heard the song, he flipped out. He said everyone would know it was about her and begged MJ not to do that to her. He told him to tone it way down and change the second verse so it sounded like a groupie. Then to just tell everyone it was about groupies when they asked. That's what they did, but Diana knew it was about her, and she was so angry she didn't speak to Michael for weeks. When Diana forgave him and started speaking to him again, she joked about him making that song about her and even recorded her own version of it and used it as an intro to her show. The first and third verses of the song are about his heartbreak and still being drawn to Diana, even after their split. But Quincy Jones, Michael's producer, stepped in. He warned him that the song's original lyrics were too personal and might expose their secret relationship. Quincy suggested adding a second verse about a groupie, a fan who follows stars closely. This gave Michael an excuse to say the song was just about a groupie, not Diana. If you listen closely, though, the personal pain in the first and last verses makes it clear this wasn't about some random stranger. Michael was upset with Diana for breaking his heart, and he used the song to send her a message. Diana got the hint. She even included a response to it in the intro of one of her albums, showing she understood what Michael was saying.
I want to say this, you might not know this, but I kind of like discovered this lady,
And then there is a rumor that Smokey Robinson and Diana are the secret parents of Michael Jackson. In an interview, Smokey was asked about the funny claim and responded with a big laugh. "They say I'm the baby daddy? Ha 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 ha. Oh my God, that's pretty good. That's funny," he said, clearly enjoying the joke. He even joked about calling Diana to ask if she had heard the rumor too. "I'm gonna call her and ask her. That's funny," he laughed. While Smokey was quick to dismiss the wild rumor, he did admit to a past affair with Diana Ross. Smokey revealed that he and Diana had a brief fling when he was still married to Claudette Rogers, who was also a member of his band, The Miracles. "Yes, we did," Smokey confirmed. "About a year. I was married at the time. We were working together, and it just happened." He spoke highly of Diana, saying she was a beautiful person and that he still loves her today. "She's one of my closest people," Smokey said. He also mentioned how he helped Diana get started in her career by bringing her to Motown.
You see, what I did is I used to sit on the stairway with Smoke, and I used to listen and watch them, and I begged him one day would he would listen to my group. And at that time, the name of my group was not the Supremes. We were called the Primettes. And there was 4 of us. Have you ever heard this story?
However, he said that the relationship ended when Diana realized he still loved his wife, Claudette, and didn't want to hurt her. Smokey also shared that he had a crush on Aretha Franklin when he was young, but they were always just friends. Smokey's marriage to Claudette lasted for over 25 years, but they divorced in 1986 after Smokey had a child with another woman. Diana was vacillating between intense professional highs and lows. Her friends and family began to realize that Diana was relying much more on alcohol than she should. Eventually, she admitted herself to a 30-day rehab program in May of 2002, but it would take more than that to right the ship. 3 weeks later, she left her rehab program prematurely in order to jump back into a scheduled run of tour dates. It was a serious mistake. While the ticket sales for this tour were much better than the failed Supremes reunion, she was struggling. In August, she went for another brief stint in rehab before leaving again, and then it all came to a disturbing head. In December of 2002, Tucson police pulled over Diana after they found her driving the wrong way down a one-way street. When they performed a sobriety test, they were shocked by what they found. The breathalyzer revealed that her BAC was at 0.20%, more than double Arizona's 0.08% limit for driving. And that's not even the most surprising part. Diana Ross wasn't in Arizona for tour dates. She was actually there for a stay at Canyon Ranch Health Resort, which offers a lot more services than just a spa does. After pleading no contest to the charges against her, a judge sentenced Diana to 48 hours in jail, which she served later that year. It was a low point, thankfully, one that hasn't been repeated since. But her ordeal wasn't over yet.
I think it's the new Supremes.
Oh my goodness.
Diana sparked another controversy at the 1999 MTV Video Music Awards, which was unforgettable, especially because of Lil' Kim's bold outfit. The rapper wore a lilac, sparkling jumpsuit with a mermaid vibe. The outfit had one side cut open, showing one of her breasts, which was covered by a shell-shaped pasty. It was shocking but also a fashion statement that people still talk about today. What made that night even more talked about was what happened on stage with Diana Ross. Lil' Kim, Diana Ross, and Mary J. Blige were presenting an award together. As they walked onto the stage, Diana Ross did something unexpected. She reached over and playfully jiggled Lil' Kim's exposed breast. The crowd gasped, and it became one of the most iconic moments in VMA history. Later, Lil' Kim explained how she felt about the moment. In a 2013 interview, she said it wasn't a big deal to her. She thought Diana Ross was just being friendly and complimenting her bold look. "I think it was more of a playful, 'wow, you look sexy' kind of thing," Kim said. She even joked that if there was ever a movie about her life, she'd want Diana Ross to play her mom. Mary J. Blige, on the other hand, had a different reaction. She felt upset about what happened. During an interview, she said she was embarrassed for Lil' Kim and didn't think it was okay. Mary called Lil' Kim her little sister and said she respects her bold style, but didn't like how the moment played out.
I refuse you to insult Michael. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
I love him,
Yeah.
and I don't like people making fun
No,
of
no,
him.
but
Diana spoke out in support of her longtime friend, Michael Jackson, asking for an end to the criticism surrounding him. This came after the release of the Leaving Neverland documentary, which made serious accusations of child sexual abuse against Jackson. Ross took to Twitter to share her feelings. She wrote, "This is what's on my heart this morning. I believe and trust that Michael Jackson was and is a magnificent, incredible force to me and to many others." She also called on people to stop criticizing Jackson, using a famous line from her hit song with the Supremes, "Stop in the name of love."
In the name of love.
Her comments followed similar support from singer Barbra Streisand, who said that Jackson's actions were influenced by his childhood experiences. Streisand also said the people involved seemed happy with their experiences, pointing out that they grew up, got married, and had children. However, after facing backlash for these comments, Streisand clarified, stating that nothing justifies taking advantage of children and that she felt sympathy for Jackson's alleged victims. Diana's message to stop the negative talk about Jackson reflects her belief in his character and the positive impact he had on her life and others. She asked people to show more love and understanding rather than focusing on the accusations against him. What we know about Michael Jackson's history of sexual abuse allegations, video and Leaving Neverland. Jackson is accused by Wade Robson and James Safechuck of years of sexual abuse when they were children. As well as seriously damaging Jackson's legacy, the allegations, which Jackson's family deny, have led Louis Vuitton to drop a range of Jackson-themed clothing and a biographical musical, Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, to be put on hold. Diana and Streisand are far from the only fans to defend him, though. A crowd-funded advertising campaign that asserted Jackson's innocence was hosted on London buses before being removed due to public sensitivity. Meanwhile, fan group The Michael Jackson Community is suing Robson and Safechuck over their accusations. Although Diana always had a place in Michael's heart, he called her his world when she visited him in hospital in 1995. He had his then-wife, Lisa Marie Presley, literally thrown out of his room in preparation for Diana's arrival, in which he lavished her with affection and gifts. After Michael Jackson's death in 2009, and many years since they had a close relationship, Diana was mentioned in his will, stating that he would like to leave his children with her in the event of his mother's death. This act, honoring her as the great mother she was to her children, and knowing in death she would be best to guide his own.
It almost doesn't matter how successful you are, that a lot of the problems are absolutely the same. One-to-one relationships with your husband or your wife or your lover or whatever. We all share a lot of the same problems, and they all can be cleared up just as well.
Diana made a big decision at the end of 1980. After 20 years with Motown Records, the Detroit-based label where she became a superstar, she decided it was time for a change. She announced she was looking for a new record deal and received over $250,000 as severance from Motown. Many record companies wanted to sign her, offering huge deals. On May 14, 1981, Diana shared exciting news. She had signed a long-term deal with RCA Records. This deal was for the United States and Canada, and it was worth $20 million over 7 years. It also gave her complete control over the production of her albums. Before signing with RCA, she reportedly asked Motown's Berry Gordy if he could match RCA's offer. Gordy said it was impossible. Diana then officially signed with RCA on May 20th, 1981. At that time, her deal was the most expensive in music history. She even turned down an $18 million offer from Boardwalk Records to choose RCA. Joining RCA was a new chapter for Diana. She experimented with her music and style in bold and exciting ways. Each album brought something fresh, which thrilled many fans. Long before artists like Madonna were known for constant reinvention, Diana was already paving the way. One of her standout songs during this time was Up Front, released as a single. It was a mix of light rock, pop, and dance music. Critics praised her performance, especially her energetic delivery and confidence. The song featured funky electric guitars and catchy beats. Produced by Ray Parker Jr., it didn't get much promotion, and without a music video, it only reached number 60 on the R&B chart. Still, it showed Diana's willingness to try new things and prove she was more than just a pop star. Diana Ross has achieved more than most artists could dream of. She's been nominated for 13 Grammy Awards and has won 2 Grammy Lifetime Achievement Awards, one for her solo career and one with the Supremes. She's the only female artist to have #1 hits as a solo artist, a trio member, part of a duet with Lionel Richie on Endless Love, and part of an ensemble, USA for Africa's We Are the World. Diana also has 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member with the Supremes. In 2016, she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Beyond music, Diana has worked hard to help others, especially children. She has raised millions for charities and supported programs like A Better Chance, which helps talented inner-city kids get into top schools.